What do Falcons do? We rise up. Welcome to Rise Up Reactions, the show where we talk all things Falcons, NFL, Georgia sports, and in general the sports news of the day. I'm your host, Dr. Lee Denning, the Golden Hard Dog and a lifelong sports fan, coming back to you real quick with another loss in the 3-year plan of Arthur Smith, coming off of a hard loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a game where I believe we out-touched them with yardage by, I think it was close to 150 yards. I got to look back at the actual numbers here, but Ritter actually had a decent day, 347 yards through the air. A lot of that coming in the fourth quarter, though, because we had to do something, because we were down by 2 scores, and still found a way to really come very close to winning this game. So I want to be very clear. It was a hard-fought game. This is one that we no longer control our destiny in because we lost. Baker Mayfield didn't look particularly good. Surprisingly, Mike Evans was not a factor in this game. He kind of got shut down by Clark Phillips and A.J. Terrell whenever they were shadowing him. But, again, we just let things happen up the middle. We did not control the clock very well. Chase Edmonds, of all the running backs, tore us to shreds. And when it mattered, unfortunately, the defense got gassed and shut down. Younghoe Koo missed 2 field goals, which is uncharacteristic. This is a game that ultimately I think we're going to look back and be disappointed on. And I don't know how many times I've said that about this team this year. And at this point, if you blame the defense for this loss, you are insane. The defense was doing their absolute best not to give this game away, and the offense did nothing to help them for the first 3.5 quarters of the game. I think we had 6 straight punting drives where we didn't get anything done and just kept throwing the defense back out there. I always forget where the time of possession is on this. I think it's under team stats. Time of possession, this is not doing it justice. The Buccaneers had the ball 31 minutes and 40 seconds, but that just doesn't do it justice. We outperformed them yardage-wise, 434 to 290. Yeah, so almost 150 yards more than they did. Had 23 first downs compared to their 16. We did have a turnover, which, again, I think it's pretty obvious Ritter's not the guy right now. He's good enough to be a backup in this league. He is not good enough through, 15 games now to be a starter in this league. And I don't think that's a bad thing. It's a huge accomplishment to be good enough to be a competent backup in the NFL. And that's kind of what I think about Ritter. And because of that, I do think it's time to move on. Not this season. We're going to ride with Ritter, ride or die the rest of the way. But I do think it's time to move on. I think it's time to start looking towards the future. Ideally, through the draft, we're going to see what happens. This loss may have helped us a little bit in that regard. If we go to Tankathon, as of right now, we are currently, let's see where we're at. That's the NBA draft. We don't want that one. Falcons are currently picking at 11, which would give us an opportunity probably to take one of the 3rd or 4th best quarterback off the board, but there are a lot of quarterback-needy teams here. Chicago could be looking to move on from Justin Fields as they still own the number 1 draft pick via Carolina and probably are going to continue to own that draft pick. You've got New England Patriots who need a quarterback. Arizona, who knows, they may or may not take a quarterback. Washington could use a quarterback. The Giants could use a quarterback. Tennessee, they're going to probably roll with Will Levis. You got Chicago again. The Raiders, who knows what they're doing, probably looking for a quarterback. Jets are probably okay. Chargers are okay. Then so we would definitely have to do something to move up, most likely, or take best available. But still, we need to do something. Kirk Cousins is probably going to be the best quarterback available in the offseason from a free agency standpoint. And there's no guarantee that he's going to be ready to go on week 1, given that he had a pretty significant injury in the middle of the season this year. I am hopeful that we can figure out how to turn things around, but what I'm not hopeful at this point for, and I think it was pretty obvious through play calling from the last few weeks, Arthur Smith, I appreciate what he's done. I appreciate his leadership through 2 really bad years of contracts, and then now we've got the team that he can put together and run, and it's still bad. At some point, it comes back to coaching. The defense has had a miraculous turnaround overall. Younghoe Koo, other than this one hiccup, has been beyond reproach. The offense, for an offensive-minded coach, has been pitiful. And I say that really, really sadly because I wanted him to work out. I wanted year 3 to be a good year because next year, unless we win our division, we're not winning. We're not making a wild card round next year. A lot of people say, "How do I know who we're playing next year?" It's very simple. We already know who the rotational components are going to be. We're going to be playing the AFC West next year, which don't know when yet, and then the other teams that we're going to be playing: Atlanta, future schedule. I mean, it's pretty simple. You can go look it up. It's on FBS schedules for future opponents. The other division that we're going to be playing in 2024 is going to be the NFC East. So, I mean, realistically, next year with this team, if nothing significant changes, are we really beating the Cowboys, the Eagles, the Giants, and the Commies? All of them again? Maybe 2 of those. And then again, the Giants will probably be better next year because they'll have a quarterback. And then are we really going to beat Kansas City, the Chargers, the Broncos, and the Raiders? Are we really going to beat these guys? And then we still have to play all the guys in our division twice next year. And then we don't exactly know who we would be playing from the other NFC divisions or the AFC division that we finish similarly to next year. I'm rambling this morning. I'm tired. It's frustrating to be a Falcons fan. I don't know what else to say. I'm not going to lose my mind over it. I'm just going to say the Falcons have found the most impressive ways to win and the most impressive ways to lose ball games this year. And it seems like when they lose a ball game, they don't just do... I saw this on Facebook last night, and I agree wholeheartedly. They don't just lose. They give you hope and then rip it from your heart through your throat. And that just sums up the season perfectly. I'm still a diehard Falcons fan. I still want us to do well. And I'm still hopeful that we can make the playoffs this year because, again, we do need the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to lose some more games. We now need to begrudgingly be cheering for the Saints in their rematch with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then we also need to be cheering for us to go undefeated basically the rest of the way because that's about the only shot that we're going to have. It's a tough slog for the rest of the way, but we didn't run the ball very effectively. Again, Ritter didn't look god-awful throwing the ball, but I would say it was a mediocre day. There were definitely times he should have had at least 3 or 4 picks in this game. Only had 1, which was a pick 6. I hesitate to say that was really his fault because, my God, we came out and threw 4 freaking screen passes in the first couple of offensive series, and what did you expect was going to happen if you run the same play over and over again? This is the NFL. Somebody's going to pick that off, and all he had to do, he basically jumped the route, and he was in the end zone. We're on our own 6-yard line. What are we doing? We're not running the ball. There is never a time that we should be running empty trays back there, and that's just what we do frequently in the Arthur Smith scheme when we do not have the personnel to do that. We have been made promises by Arthur Smith. We have been sold a bag of lies as far as I'm concerned. He is not the head coach we need. He needs to go. Arthur Blank will never get rid of him, and I am fully committed to the idea that he's going to be our head coach next year, but I do not want that. I firmly, strongly believe that he will still be our head coach. He should not be our head coach. We will not win a Super Bowl. We may not make the playoffs ever under him the way it's going. His 3-year plan, again, has been garbage. If this is where we were supposed to be at the end of 3 years, then it's a failure, and we need to move on. There's a lot of good coaching candidates that are out there right now. We should really try to make a push for one. We have some draft capital that we can do it with. We have offensive talent outside of the quarterback that we can do it with. We are an appealing site to come play because our defense is better. If we can just get an offense that keeps the defense off the freaking field for over half the game, then hey, maybe we can do something. But guys, I'm frustrated. It is what it is. We are 6-7. We are tied for first place, so we technically were in second in the division because of tiebreakers. We are no longer in control of our destiny. This was a must-win game, and we didn't do it. We've had a lot of those this season, and we just find ways to fail spectacularly. Again, going back to some of these other games, we're going to want the Minnesota game back. We're going to want the Washington game back, and we're going to want the Tennessee game back. Any one of those was a winnable game, and we didn't do what we needed to do. All of them were winnable games, and we didn't do what we needed to do. We should be absolutely destroying this division right now, as garbage as it is, and we're not, and it has to do mostly with coaching. Ritter is part of the problem, but I will ultimately say that it's coaching. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking. Thank you for sharing, subscribing. I'm just not happy with this overall team right now. Thank you, though, for those of you who have supported me. 200 of you so far. It really means the world to me. I don't have a lot else to say, guys. This is a disappointing Monday, but as always, rise up.